quick video for a memory because I'm in the middle of driving and I can't write it down, but this is for me. And it's really a sermon, and it's the Great Garden, right? And the Great Garden is, the earth and everything within. But I realized that in this Great Garden, there's three kind of ways that we can plant. We can plant deeds, like how we do the things we do to one another, because in the beginning, it started with love, like everything is, every deed you do to and unto somebody is supposed to be done out of love, right? Alright, so deeds is how you can plant, because deeds are also, specific with, what you're doing, your actions, right? Alright, then other seeds you can plant is monetary, right? And the monetary, remember, these seeds still reap a harvest, all of it. So you got good and bad deeds. You have you can plant monetary seeds grudgingly or giving out of necessity. You can plant other seeds, that where you can reap positive and negative with that seed. And also, I realize it's the last seed, and that's the planting of the word, or you plant the seed in somebody's heart. It's not for you to plant the seed, water it, and it grow. Because a lot of times we come to people and we try to make them understand something, but the thing is, if you do your part and you plant that seed, somebody else can come up and water. But the problem is we get in the way and we trying to do the planting, the watering, the harvesting, the cropping, the tilling the ground. We trying to do everything. So indirectly we ain't realizing that we all are part of one body. And if we all are part of one body, that means we all have a different job to do. We all have different things to do in this same body. But a lot of us want to be the whole body. See what I'm saying? So we got to get out of the way of trying to do everything, but just literally and understand our part. That way we ain't out the way and we ain't out of order, and we understand our position. But yeah, I just had to say it real quick so I can have a mental note of the Great Garden. You know what I'm saying? Because it just came to me, and I was like, I can't write nothing right now. I'm on the highway. So yeah, the Great Garden, and the three things, the three seeds you can plant, because you're gonna reap what you sow regardless. And a lot of times we fail to realize that those things that we reap, even though we repented and all this, sometimes it may be coming way down the line. And here it is, you've been forgot about your deed, but that don't mean it ain't a harvest coming from it. It can be good or bad, So sometimes we also still have to understand that it's not always gonna be good times, and it's not always gonna be bad times. But all bad times are not for punishment. Sometimes what you consider bad, that's that thing that's building you up. That builds you up during the storm. So if you realize that, then you can grow from it. But if you're offended by it, then your growth is stunted. So it's just bearing in mind that it ain't always gonna be good days. It ain't always gonna be sunny days. It may be some rainy days. It may be some stormy days. It may be days where it's snowing and you can't get warm. It may be days where, it's a bliss day. But out of every day, even when you're down, somehow you got to develop the type of mind that allows you to find the good in it, that allows you to find that place or that lesson in that day. Because if you learn how to give thanks even when it's bad, fast, but that's a mental note for me. I was just sitting here thinking about just personal things, but one of the things that came up is I was literally sitting here thinking, and I'm like, why and how did we get to the point that the only time, or whatever, I that way I'm not offending before the point or the message is preached. But why is it the only time that we have a conversation with the Lord is when we in need? Indirectly, like we look at the Father as a bank account or something, like some kind of financial reserve. Like it's like, because in a way, as I was sitting here thinking, I was thinking about how I feel if somebody doing me the same way. Like a human being is doing me that way. And if God is jealous God, then how is it that I think that it's okay to not actually have a strong personal relationship and I'm literally strongly trusting in Him, but yet I'm always asking, Lord, can you help me? Let me figure out a way to pay my rent. Let me figure out a way to pay my electric bill. Put somebody in place to pay my rent, or not pay my rent, but help me. Like help me, me. And it's funny because sometimes we can be in position, but we don't realize that you really need the bare minimum to survive. You know what I'm saying? But if you're so used to getting the handouts, if you're so used to getting, it's almost like those that you see on the side of the road. Always, hey, you got a couple of dollars. I always asking for money and all that. I used to do it quite a bit. Then I thought about it. I was like, well, for real and honestly, a lot of y'all really, this just a gimmick. Y'all do this. If I'm seeing you every single day and ain't no change, then basically this is your job. So if you don't actually go out and get a job, then I am the job, So indirectly, I'm not helping you. So I was thinking the same thing. It's like, what about God's end? When we talking to God or praying and we asking, but a lot of times we fall in a position of where we asking for stuff, but we ain't doing nothing towards what we asking for. It's like fairy tale, like, oh Lord, let me get that Benz that I want. But first of all, you don't even have the income to attain one. Secondly, you thinking it's gonna come from nowhere. Then you may not even be really making, enough to really, like, you haven't even planned nothing out. You haven't thought about nothing. Let's say you do make enough to get it. Do you make enough to get it and maintain it? It's a difference, because it's one thing to have enough just to pay the note, and it's another thing to get it and be able to pay the note, and once that warranty wear off, you're able to maintain it and repair it and all this stuff, and everything that glimmer ain't gold. So sometimes it's not so good just to try to go for the best things, because them best things come with a price, and it's the same difference, with the relationship. You can't expect the best from the relationship with the Father when you ain't giving your best in your relationship. You ain't spending no time. You ain't praying. You ain't doing, like, how can you expect for the windows of heaven to be open, but you ain't praying, you ain't communing, you ain't spending no time with them. The relationship is distant, like a stepfather. Like, how is it possible that we continually think like this? And sadly, sometimes it's like, okay, well, you want to do for me, I'm gonna go over here. And believe it or not, a lot of people end up venturing off because they're like, well, ain't nothing working over here, so I'm finna go over here. But the thing is, was you doing anything for it to work over here? Nice pause, just to think about the question that was just asked. Was you doing anything for it to work? Faith without works is dead. Therefore, you can be talking, praying, Lord, I need this, and going, but and it don't matter how long you're down there, because the minute you get up, your heart is gonna tell you anything, like, the length of time that you praying don't make a difference in whether you're gonna receive or not, because the faith is the only thing that's gonna move God. Meaning, on the inside, your inner man gonna let you know that, he's not finna do that for me right now, because first of all, I'm not in place for it. Second of all, I can't maintain it. Third of all, well, I can switch that 3 to the 1, but I'm not a good steward with what he already gave me. So if he already gave me things repeatedly though, but it's funny because his grace allows him to, I'm gonna give you, see what you do with it. Oh, you ain't do right with that, I'm gonna give you again. I'm gonna give you again. But you don't realize it because you take it for granted. You think it's automatic that you're supposed to have a roof over your head. It's automatic that you're supposed to have food on your table every day more than one time. You take it for granted that you have a job. You take it for granted that you're able to maintain, you take it for granted that you are physically able to do it. So, considering that, what if you that person now? What kind of person would you be if he did open up the windows of heaven and all these things start pouring out? You probably literally will lose your mind. You can't handle the little things. How you gonna handle the big things? So let's go back to the Benz, right? You want a Benz. Oh yeah, it look nice. Everybody gonna see me riding Benz and all this. You want this, right? One of the reasons you want it is because you see people on the Benz that show nice. I want to roll like that. But you don't know their journey. You don't know what they did to get there. You don't know the work they put in. You don't know none of it. You just want that. And the sad part is, during this microwave generation, you want that like right now. You don't want to do no work for it. You want to just, oh Lord, just let me get that Benz, that S550, just, and then somehow it's just going to, oh, it's thinking. No, it don't work like that. All right. Faith without works is dead. But while you pray, right? After your prayer, be patient. Because a lot of times, even if you had the faith, during the waiting period of it being presented, now you have this period where the enemy can play. Now, whispers, well, you don't deserve that, and he shouldn't give it to you. Why should he? And blah, and keep going. Next thing you know, your faith just steady. It was uphill when you finished praying. Now you just slowly Next thing you know, guess what you're doing? Lord, let me get that. All right, why are you going right back to praying for the same thing again? So that means you allowed the enemy to take your faith away from you, out of your prayer. He took it from you in that period, and now you praying for it again, thinking you wasn't heard the first time. The enemy comes to do what? Steal, kill, and destroy. And that's in multiple angles. Come to steal your faith. Right? Because that's one of the most important things. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. So if he coming to steal the faith that you have, he coming to steal your faith. I can stop really right there. I mean, you don't have hardly nothing to work with. Unless God so desires to move himself and bring you over. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, okay. If he's stealing your faith, then guess what else he's stealing? He's stealing your gifts. If he's stealing your gifts, guess what else he's stealing? Well, not that the works matter, but if he's taking your gifts, then that means you ineffective. That means the will that God had on your life is the will that you're not doing. Because he's taking your faith out of it. He's taking the faith. So now it is you not really believing all the way. You know, you believe a little bit, but you believe kind of depending on, and God don't work like that. It don't matter what the situation is. If it is already written, that is what it is. It's not well, it was written, I wrote it before you got here. But if you do this, then this won't happen down the road. No, it don't work like that. It's already written. The thing is, you have to understand that. But the reality of it, it's hard to swallow that pill itself, because a lot of people hold on to the shortcomings, all the things that they feel like they fell short and all that, and then you start wallowing in it, and just now it's a bunch of chains and baggage on your shoulder, and you just unhappy and ain't no peace, and you keep on just carrying. It's like a person that brings a lot of baggage with them everywhere they go. Everything they say is negative. If you present something positive, they can come right back with something negative. Why is that? Because that's what they believe in. You know, it's funny because you got to look at faith. All right, prime example. We started in church as children, the ones that did, or whenever you started. But you didn't get to the point of actually believing until you was hearing. And then, you know, guess what? Faith come by hearing, and by hearing with the word of God, right? As you kept hearing, now you starting to understand, right? Now once you start understanding, now you starting to believe, right? Okay, it's the same difference on the other side. See, all these seeds that you plant, they all indirectly go together, because it's still a different angle, but adverse reaction or opposite. Okay, I develop faith on the good side. Now I can also develop faith on the bad side. Well, I hate to say bad and good, but the side that don't benefit me. And the side that doesn't benefit me is, after I wasn't patient after my prayer, right? I wasn't patient, so now I'm like, oh, well, he probably ain't hit me. But this ain't in my timing. This in God's timing. This is not my timing. So I'm getting confused, because now here I go saying, well, God probably don't want me to have it no way. Okay, my faith dwindled, right? Not only that, but if I'm constantly hearing, whether it's me literally saying, or whether it's somebody else saying, or whether the voices that, or the spirits that may speak that you may hear, or anything in your mind, and you keep on hearing it, guess what? You're going to develop faith in that. Meaning, you're going to start developing faith in negative things. It's not like faith only operates one way, but faith is literally a representation of something you really believe. Like, meaning, I don't know how this is going to be. And that's a good example because it's already something you don't see, right? But in the process, you saying, I ain't going to get that. Well, you don't see it either, but also, you canceled out the option of actually having it, whether you're working or not. But the thing is, was the representation of the faith that you develop in the negative. You develop the faith in the negative so much easier than you develop the faith in the thing that your mind can't wrap around. The thing that, okay, you're gonna open up the windows of heaven and pull me out a blessing to receive that I can't receive. You know, it's hard to wrap your mind around that because firstly, you don't even know what you're gonna do with it. Okay, this blessing, what am I gonna do with it? You know, just go back to the people that was given the talents. That one person that buried his, that one talent he was given, he buried it because he didn't want to lose it and all that. Well, what purpose is it serving if it's buried underground? Meaning that talent is dead, you know, indirectly. That talent is dead, but guess what? Everybody else, they did something with their talents and they brought something back. Their talents had fruit. Their talents they used as seeds and they brought something back. So it's indirectly a situation where we got to guard our faith. That's why you have the shield of faith, right? That faith is what protects you. That faith is what keeps you. But if you never use it the right way, not developing faith in all this other stuff, but developing faith in what you know what God can do. And let me tell you how you know what God can do, right? We fail to overlook the small things. How are you still able? How are you still having a roof over your head? How are you still having food on your table? How are you still, and mind you, you really don't make that much money. You know, for the ones that really, for real, like, but this time and time again, but it's overlooked because this is something that, you know, is like, this supposed to happen. How is it supposed to happen? If you grown, is it really supposed to happen? No. You have to be providing and providing, you know? So it ain't no automatic, you know? So I almost lost my point, but I just had to make another mental note real quick before it left because I was thinking. And in that thought process, I was like, that's interesting because I was thinking about, imagine if God only wants praise, if God only wants to be lifted up, if God only wants his 10%, if God only wants this, he only wants this, and you don't even give him that. That's all he wants, and we don't even give him that. I was thinking about how I felt when it wasn't appreciated what I was doing, right? Though I'm human, but if God is a jealous God, just imagine how he feels. He loves you so much, but just because you won't understand or you won't listen, he has to go through this hurt. And it's not this human hurt, it's another hurt. He has to go through this hurt because he hates to see his child going through it. And his child continually goes through that because they continually allowing the faith to get pulled off little by little. So that's why it's important to not associate yourself around certain people that's always talking negative, not talking about nothing that have to do with growth or none of that. Like, what's the point? For you to start developing the same mind, it serves no purpose. But it's a matter of if you're going to be honest with yourself or not. And if not, that's the most dangerous thing you can do. Is lie to yourself. But it's up to you to realize and see, you know, or for the Lord to give you sight that you may see the damage that is done that you may not understand. And that's it.